It's just the precedent that this sets going forward. What kind of bar are we looking at? Is this a case where now we can go back in time? Are we going to go back in time? Are we going to look at all the other school shootings and are we going to evaluate each parent, parent by parent? And I'm not saying that that's a bad idea. I think for years there should have been more accountability for the parents of some of these school shooters where there really hasn't been. But does this now open up the door to that? And before we go to the next question about looking into the future, what are your thoughts on the past?
I don't think so. Some of these charges would have statutes of limitations on them. I don't. Nothing is going to be set in stone until the Supreme Court decides and makes this precedent case law.
Hmm.
Right now, this is just one trial court. It's going to get appealed, and once that appeals takes place, then we'll start defining how this is actually going to play out, law enforcement and prosecutorial wise. Otherwise, parents need to just be involved in their children's life. The only thing that you should be taking from this as a parent is that you need to be thinking through. Your job is not to be a friend. You need to be thinking through, how am I going to get my child the help that they need? Because everybody has mental health problems. Everybody has them. Everybody's going to have problems with peers. Everybody's going to have these problems. So, what are you doing as a parent to ensure that you are a safe space for your child to come to and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. And they trust that you're going to be there to help them in whatever way that you can.
I agree, and I wish that there were more parents, I think, that were mentally equipped enough to do that. We obviously live in a world where many are not. Is this going to make a difference? Is this going to get through to the parents that don't even think of these sort of things? I mean, responsible parents are saying this, going, "Yeah, I get it. Oh my gosh," and we run all these things through our mind. But there's a good chunk of our population where they don't even know this case even happened. Even if they did, wouldn't really connect the dots to see how it could possibly relate to them. I guess the question is this going to make much of an impact in terms of kids going and shooting up a school because they got the guns from the parents? I mean, is this going to make people lock up their guns more if they're the type of people who already weren't doing that sort of thing?
No, not at all. I don't. This is still reactionary. Anything that happens subsequent to that is still going to be reactionary. I don't see that this makes that big of a change. It doesn't bring a dip in the amount of school shootings that happen, the amount of mass violence that happens. It's not going to make a drop in the bucket. This case.
What else needs to happen societally uh, in conjunction with this verdict? And I know, like you said, it's going to get appealed. It'll end up at the Supreme Court at some point in time. But if we're going to go down this road, and I'm not saying it's a bad road to go down, but just making the decree that this is how we're handling this going forward, um, doesn't necessarily mean there's a plan in place then for those people. I look back to the 1980s where so many of the state hospitals, we don't need those. We're going to go handle it at a more local level. And the local levels didn't do shit half the time. And then we have our homeless problem that we have because we thought, oh, well, if we fix this over here and we move the problem over here a little bit, maybe we can adjust it. But then there's no resources, there's nothing in place to actually do the full follow through. What do we need to do here to have a full follow through? So, the parents, especially the ones that are just, they're not there enough to fully understand what this is or to have a better understanding of mental health of their children, which many do not have any clue of because many of them have their own mental health problems. To be the responsible parent that the rest of society needs them to be.
Listen, the things that we need to do as a society are too numerous for me to take on in something as short as this.
Sure.
But what I am going to say is this: a lot of those things that you were discussing, particularly the shutting down of asylums and stuff like that, and then community mental health resources and not being available,
Mhm.
that's all because of money.
Yeah.
That's all because of policies that were put in place initially to help those individuals transfer out of
Sure.
hospitals into the community and then were rescinded
Mhm.
based on political agendas that were going on. If we notice, if we really want to make systemic changes, then we have to make policies that increase the wealth of those that have no wealth and make sure that we have policies in place where that can be fully funded so that people can walk into those things. Maybe they aren't very rich, maybe they need a lot of help, but they know that they're going to get the services that they need because they're always fully funded.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks